Hey everyone, glad to see you all back. I think I did it. I had this epiphany moment yesterday, and it all clicked and came together. You know, I think I finally won. I think I beat it. Um, I mean, I know there's still gonna be like moments in the future where I'm gonna be sad or upset, but I think I'm done. I'm tired of feeling the way I have been. And I am going to make the conscious choice to do better because I want better. Um, I've had a lot of like this cascade of epiphanies and, just these little moments that, that's what I've been doing with my time lately is, unraveling the mystery, just pulling at the threads. And I've finally gotten an answer to my satisfaction. Um, and I'm thinking about doing something fun with that. I might, if I can figure out the right way to do it, a little thought experiment I want to do um, in a future video. But I think this is going to be the end of this series because I think um, I'm there. Um, and hopefully, me sharing, what I have of my journey can help someone else in theirs because that was the whole point of all this. That's why I started this, and it's been very cathartic. Like I said yesterday, I had that awakening moment, and uh, it wasn't pretty. It wasn't glamorous. You know, I let open the floodgates and just everything I've been holding on to for so long, I finally just let it go. You know, sorry, I'm taking a moment because I'm still recovering. Just know that when you see the tears now, they're joy. um, I feel okay. I feel better. Um, I have finally found acceptance. Um, I accept myself, wholly, completely, flaws and all, because I know myself, in this whole journey. That's what this has been about. Is I know myself well enough that if I find a fault in myself, I'm going to fix it. It might take me time to find it, so I got to be patient with myself. But it's going to be okay. I don't need other people's approval because that was what was driving me nuts. I was a people pleaser. And here's the thing, it is absolutely true what they say. When you're a nice guy, all that does is get you taken advantage of. Um, but you can't harden your heart. You can't. You're not going to live that way. Um, you just have to learn the lessons that life brings your way to build up your discernment and your insight and then use them. From here on out, I love myself enough to have self respect that I know that if you want to be in my life, you'll be there. I don't have to worry about who's showing up and who ain't because it's not up to me to make the choice for them. I mean, are there people I wish would choose me? Absolutely. But if they don't, they're lost, not mine. But if you want to be in my life, come correct. You know, I make a lot of people uncomfortable because I demand a certain level of integrity in the people I keep around me. You know, The reality is I've been a big hypocrite lately. I've been picking out all these things trying to help everybody else, and I didn't do it for myself. And then when I finally did it, I needed that awakening moment. I needed to pick me, and I got to a point where I didn't. I finally got to a point where I didn't see another option, so I picked me, and it's been wild. It opened up a whole different thing. I just, I don't. It's funny because I thought I would feel like it would be like this big, glorious, amazing awakening, and like the whole world would change, and it did, but it changed for me. Um, it's all about perspective and perception. Um, but yeah, I found my place. The biggest thing was acceptance. Here's the truth. Here's the reality. And again, not to scare anybody, this is not a pity party. This is me coming to terms with reality. I have made some serious mistakes in my lifetime, and unfortunately, I made them at a young age. A younger age. And the consequences of those mistakes, in reality, have set me up for a rough life. It's not this whole collective system has failed me my entire life from day one. Um, that's not blame. That's not accusation. Like that. That is, and that's because I'm different. It's not their fault that I am different. I can accept that. You know, for a long time, I held on to this. Well, at first, it was a grudge. That's why it showed up as anger. And then when I finally got control of my anger, um, I turned it into pain. And that's why I had the depression. I was trying to be somebody that I wasn't. And at the start of this journey, that's what triggered it because, outside I was trying to fit into a system that I did not fit into. And that's the reality. At my age, I'm going to be 45 years old. I've had 3 heart attacks. I got 4 stents. The reality is, I'm not going far in life. This world, I can forgive myself, but the world isn't going to forgive a lot of me. And that's okay. Again, I can accept that. Because it don't matter. I'm going to do me. I can't worry about the rest of the world anymore. It's too much weight. I release myself. It's off my shoulders. Let go and let God. That's it. And I've said that a lot in my life, and it finally hit home. Like I finally understand that. And again, I have a really cool idea for a thought experiment that I want to do, but we're not there yet. I'm still working on that. And as you can see, like the joy is back. I am genuinely happy, and this is the first time I've felt this way in a long time, and it's great. I love it. I'm gonna be okay. So hopefully I've done some good for somebody. Again, acceptance. Reality is romantic love. That was the whole thing I was going. The mistakes I made in my past, the consequences of those have absolutely affected the entirety of my future, and I've spent my life fighting that. Maybe for the right reasons, but I was doing it the wrong way. Um, Again, I'm different. Um, I had to, again, that's why I had to be the people pleaser, because I had to put right what I did wrong, and I'm at a point where it's up to me now what that is. You know, I'm done asking for approval from others. Guidance is accepted, though. You know, I'm not like shutting everybody out. This is not, you know. The reality is, I'll probably be alone, you know, romantically, for the rest of my time. And again, that is acceptance. I need to accept that because again, I'm 45 years old. I can't work. I can't drive. Well, I can work, but not in the way I'm used to. You know, I'm not going to be a top dollar earner. I am not marriage material. I am not fit for it. And I'm aware of that, you know, by society standards. I don't fit into that society. And again, that's acceptance. I'm cool with that. I don't need, you know, to keep beating myself up. It's time to get out of my comfort zone. Has been here for the last 4 years. This has been my comfort zone. It's time to get out of my own head. You know, I'm finally there. I'm finally ready. You know, I took that step yesterday. Going to church was probably the best thing I have ever done for myself because that was my reminder of who I am. And now that I've been reminded of who I am not going to let anybody get me confused about that again. That's why I say I think I'm good. I think I finally got it licked for, you know. And like I said, I know there will be moments in the future, but I know it's going to sound like a defeatist thing, but it's if you don't have any expectations, you can't have any disappointments. You know, in any interaction, if I meet a new person, no expectations, except for my rules. Come correct. If you want to be a part of you know, what I got going on, come correct. You know, work on yourself. You don't have to be perfect. I don't expect perfection. But I expect openness and honesty. You know, and that honesty goes both ways. Because if, again, I know that self-correction is an ongoing journey. You're never done. You can always get better. So I'm open to feedback, but I want it to come from people where it comes from a place of genuine love. You know, I'm tired of people coming in and taking advantage and trying to control me and then feeding off the energy I give them because I'm looking for their approval, their attention. I'm done doing that. I'm over it. So, you know, I think for the rest of my time, I'm just going to stick to what I do that makes me happy. You know, I'm going to do my woodworking projects. I'll probably mess around on here a little bit doing, you know, like I said, I got that thought experiment idea. That should be a lot of fun. I'm going to work on that. That'll probably be a few days. This will be my last daily check-in video. So if you don't see any more, please don't panic. I didn't do the worst. This is the best I've ever been. I'm good. I promise. Again, raw, real, reality. I'm good. We're okay. You know, I'm going to keep doing me. I'm going to get back into the kind of things that I'm into. You know, one of the great things about going to churches, the one I went to is like the old school, and it's a very small church, and they are very community based, and I loved it. It brought me back to life. It really did. You know, my favorite quote the other day that I said, you know, Stephen King, in the words of Andy Dufresne, you either got to get busy living or get busy dying. You know, and I was sitting there, I was letting myself waste away. Well, now it's time to get busy living. You know, I understand and accept my limitations for what I will be able to do going forward. You know, because again, there's limitations. And that's reality. Again, acceptance. Acceptance is the answer. First, you have to explore and examine and rediscover who you are. And you have to accept that. And then you have to accept your place in the world based on that. And then you can release yourself of that burden and step forward, and from there, life's going to happen. I don't know what's around the next bend, but I'm going to keep doing what I've been doing the best I can. Now I know better, so I can do better. And that's the moral of the story, I guess. Again, I see I've just passed the 15-minute mark, about 15 and a half. So I'm going to let this go, instead of me just rambling, babbling on, but I'm happy. I'm excited. I got hope for the future. And this is all like things that I haven't felt in years. So I'm really good. All right. So thank you, everybody that followed along, that had concern. Greatly appreciated. And I'll be seeing you again. I'll pop up because, like I said, now I got ideas. Now that I'm happy, all my creativity is starting to come out. So, again, I got nothing but time. There's not a whole lot that I can do with my days. I'm not limited. I mean, that's just the fact. So now I get to be creative, and I'm going to do little things here and there. I'm just going to dabble. Stuff that I haven't let myself enjoy in the past few years, I'm finally going to give myself permission to enjoy. I'm giving myself permission to live. So, thanks again. Have a good one, and I'll see you around. Take care of yourself.